I don't share that cocaine at all.
He's our very own cocaine bear.
Welcome to the Fathergamer Podcast.
So, well, this is episode 100, guys. I can't believe it. This is technically my 250th regular Father Gamer episode, but this is our 100th with this version of the show, combined with all the other episodes that I've done and we've done. I don't even know. And how many times have we done episodes that never even aired? I'm sure it's probably near 300 at this point. Yeah. But
interviews that, magically didn't record.
Or no, they some of them didn't magically record. You're right, and some did magically disappear because they were so what the hell. But those drunken orgies just don't translate well to podcasts.
Exactly. Yeah.
I try.
I mean, you try.
You can try.
It's a lot of Foley work.
It never works.
So, anyway, well, everybody, thank you for listening. This is episode 100 of the Father Gamer Podcast.
You're welcome that I'm starting a recording already. So
I figured I told you to start recording. You are recording.
I didn't hear that, but yes, I am recording.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for coming to.
Thank you for being a friend
and be part of our TED Talk. We are going to talk about a bunch of really fun, nerdy, geeky fandom things, including the movie Megan. Not Hogwarts or Yakuza, because I'm not playing them yet. Are any of you guys playing?
Not Hogwarts or Yakuza.
I'm bitter. I am bitter that I don't have.
Kyle has it, but I don't.
Yes, I do.
Okay, so I guess Kyle can talk about Hogwarts, and I can just sit in a corner and be angry. We're going to talk about the DLC for Midnight Suns, including the Venom DLC and the Deadpool DLC.
Cool.
A little bit of Fortnite. We've got a little bit of news, and we are going to talk about Pichard. Season 3, episode 1. Have you seen episode 2 yet?
I have watched it, yes.
Okay, so yes, you have.
Yeah.
Yes. Anyway. And most importantly, we are also going to talk about the MCU and what's going on with it. So, thank you for listening. Sit back, get ready, and let's get into episode 100 of the Father Gamer Podcast. Okay, so with me again today is Mike and Kyle, and we're going to be talking about, let's talk about Hogwarts. Online, looking around, I've been trying really hard not to get deep dives into reviews, because I figured eventually I'm going to get my hands on a copy. But the thing I keep seeing pop up over and over again is it's like Harry Potter meets Skyrim. Is that a fair comparison?
In an aspect, yes.
Okay. Like, how much of an RPG is it?
It's definitely an RPG. That's good. For sure.
Good. It looks fun. Like, it looks really fun. The big thing I was really worried about is, there's all this vast area to go look around and whatnot, but does it feel like it's lived in? Does it feel like it's...
Oh, gosh. Yeah, no. The more I play that game is, like, it is insanely incredible how much you can explore Hogwarts itself. It's so cool. Every nook and cranny, like, everything that's hidden within the school itself. Outside of the world, you have all, like, it's not just, of course, as people know, just Hogwarts itself. You have,
Hogsmeade, right?
You have Hogsmeade, you have some other, towns and everything, like, little subsections of places to go.
As long as I can start a Quidditch, like a Quidditch gang, and we're hey, bro, we're gonna hang out at the Whomping Tree and take candy from
the Whomping Tree. Love it.
Don't get too close.
So, sorry, keep going.
No, the cool thing about it is the fact that, like I said, you have so much to do, and the side quests alone are, like, really fun. It adds a lot to it. And the main quests as well just make it that much of a funner time. Like, as you're going through these and doing specific things, it kind of adds up.
Is it closer to Witcher, almost, in a way?
In ways, like, it shares a couple different qualities of different games alone, because of the fact of, like I said, the side quests will have you doing different things. Some of these side quests you need to do to unlock new spells, which make it really freaking cool, because it's not like, oh, I mean, yes, there's some fetch quests and things like that,
right?
But, like, it has the rewards and stuff like that afterwards.
That's good.
And it's definitely rewarding to do so. And then later down the line, like, you gain access to flying and whatnot, and then you're
I figured they wouldn't give you like a broom right off the bat. Like, they would be like, here's this little area, here's this little area, and then finally.
Exactly. Yeah, no, it's pretty darn nifty on how they went about doing it. And of course, they mentioned they want to make this a long-term
I was
franchise,
reading that.
which is fantastic, because I'm really wanting them. And it's not just me; it's a community. Like, the community that at least supports, some aspect. And and of course, we'll probably talk in some of the things. And I get people's social standard, like justice standards and things like that. Don't get me wrong.
No, but, we are gonna get into that, and I have some viewpoints, and I understand people's viewpoints.
Absolutely, I do the same.
But before we get into any of that, just to put a pin in what you were saying, because it is the frickin' bigoted author in the room. She whom shall not be named really has nothing to do with this. Yes, Harry Potter was hers. And whether you agree with her or not, a large consensus of people do not agree with her viewpoint.
Exactly.
Right. But that aside, she is a person that a lot of people make their living around, because they work on, movies, TV, whatever it's going to be.
Exactly.
And so she should have known better to begin with. Just be like, hey, look, I am a business person. I need to keep that, whatever. I need to be, whatever. That aside, and again, I don't agree with what she had to say, but the people that worked on this worked very hard. They are not her. And that's where I do say they deserve your attention and your credit. And just because something was created by someone doesn't mean that the creation can't live on away from them, and sometimes even be better. And that's what I think they can strive to do and be. And that's this is the first time that, I've played a lot of the other Harry Potter games, and they were fun. I played the Lego ones and the original, was it PlayStation 1 ones and all that kind of stuff. And those were fun. But what you're describing is what I've always wanted.
Exactly. Everyone, like a good chunk of people, that's exactly what they were wanting, is this specific world that you could do all this cool stuff on what was Harry Potter. Like, what made, like, those movies so popular, like the world built.
Truly magical.
Like, in a sense, absolutely.
My biggest things were, as long as there is a decent story threaded throughout this game, decent acting, and I mean, good God, Simon Pegg is playing the frickin'...
Oh, Simon Pegg is fantastic.
He's a black, right?
Yes.
He's playing
he's playing the headmaster.
Yeah, he's the headmaster, Mike.
That's cool.
Yeah, I've seen some video of him getting into it.
He's fantastic.
When you say black, are we talking like serious?
Like
black?
Serious black? Yes.
Yeah,
cool.
Like an ancestor.
Yeah,
and so, but he sounds like a dick, to be honest. And
he has his moments, that's for sure.
I mean, he's a Slytherin, isn't he?
I think actually, I think you may be right.
I think he is, but it's so funny though. It is such a part of my fandom, like Harry Potter. It was such a integral part to a lot of anybody that grew up in the 90s and 2000s. It was such a big part of our burgeoning fandom, and some of us, it was the first time we read books in a very long time. It was such a great thing. And we can take that feeling, and there is a lot of stuff we're having to pivot around right now, but it doesn't take away from the magic. Like, and I think if people can look at it like that, just go, look, these people had nothing to do with that, and they're creating something truly amazing for a game, then they need to be given the credit they deserve.
Oh, absolutely.
So, and on top of it, this was made during the pandemic. So, I mean, that's just even crazier. How's the flying mechanics?
See, the flying, I think it's pretty darn good. Like, there's some times where I'm like, oh gosh, I wish this was just a little better, but it's totally cool. I get it.
Do you think, is there a leveling system with the flying? Like, you get better if you level, or is that just it?
They do have some add-ons and stuff that you have to do quest lines for and things like that. Like, you have to do, like, trial challenges.
You get like hydraulics and low jack. For
yeah, exactly.
GTA Hogwarts
and the customization for you even have customization for the brooms and stuff. Like,
nice.
Well, I hope there's customizations for everything. Like, I would assume that would be anything aesthetic. I would figure would be that's the push for most people that like stuff like this. I mean, just look at Midnight Suns. It's like that was half of the thing, was trying to get T-shirts and and costumes for your character, Scott.
Like the customization,
still Animal Crossing with superheroes, and I loved it. But wow, as soon as I can get a copy, I really want to play it. It's not
recommend it.
It's not multiplayer, right?
No, it's not.
Which dang. I would assume that would probably be the direction they would go after this at some point. At least up towards. I just, after the debacle of Marvel's Avengers, like that campaign, we've talked about it before on the show, is still one of my favorite superhero campaigns. Like,
the campaign is amazing.
That and Guardians and Midnight Suns. Those are some of my favorite comic book stories. And I mean, of course, Spider-Man. But
Spider-Man alone.
Spider-Man's amazing. But I was going to say that, going back to where I was, one of the big things for, like, let's say Spider-Man was it made me feel like I was Spider-Man because of the web slinging, being able to go through New York and feel like a Spider-Man, or Batman Arkham, where I could be sneaky and I could see the heartbeat of people and I felt like I was the Dark Knight. Like, that's what I want to feel with this. I want to feel like I have control of something that Muggles don't. And I really hope that's where this is and where it continues to go. So that's great. I'm glad. I'm really pissed that you got to play. I mean, happy that you got to play it. There was literally back-to-back 3 games that came out that I just could not get access to, and was just like, well, that's going to happen. That one, Tales of Symphonia, just came out, a reissue on the Switch, which that is one of my favorite JRPGs of all time. And then a new Yakuza game, which hopefully we'll have a copy of that by the next episode.
That one actually does look super fun.
The great thing about that game is there is an interview way back at one of our E3s that we went to, and I interviewed some people from Sega, and I was begging them for that game to come out, because this is a remaster or reissue or whatever of a game that came out years ago, and they were like, it's too Japanese. It's never going to come out over here. And so I was like, oh well, guess they're wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
So I mean, money.
Now that we have Ghost of Tsushima and all those other kind of styles games, this is definitely up that same alley.
Well, after Zero, Yakuza 0 came out and kind of did really well, and then
did real well. Yeah.
The Kiwami games, and they just progressively got more and more popular.
Exactly.
And then they
finally understood.
Well, and they spun, thank God. And they spun it on its head. And they also stepped away from, if you went back and played the original, the versions they had, the first ones they brought over here, they tried to very much Americanize the acting and all that. They really brought in actually decent, actually known actors to play the voices of the characters. Yeah, go back on YouTube and try to look for the original Yakuza dubs. It's pretty funny actually, because it's almost like they were trying to do Godfather, but with in Japan.
I'm gonna make you an offer you can't refuse.
Anyway, let's move on, because hopefully we'll be able to talk about that. Mike and I've been playing, still playing some Midnight Suns. I keep, speaking of Godfather, it keeps pulling me back in. I was like, okay, well, there's DLC coming. So, Deadpool came out. I think we briefly talked about it on the last episode. If not, we'll talk about it for just a second. It ended up being pretty fun. Like, Deadpool grew on me. I mean, great. It's Nolan North.
Yeah.
Does Deadpool, and it ends up pretty fun. Like, it's still really weird to walk around the Abbey and try to befriend all of these Marvel characters, and then just, like I said, it boils down to almost like a Animal Crossing thing. And then it's even funnier if you give them a gift. If you go into their rooms, you can actually see the gift on their table. So it really is like an Animal Crossing thing. But I figured it'd be a while before the next DLC came out, and it just popped up a few days ago, and I was like, "Wow,
a few days ago." Yeah.
Okay, well, I guess I'm going to play Venom." And so they go with the Eddie Brock that's really close to, it's a hybrid of the current version of Eddie Brock in the comics, and a little touch, just enough, of the original Eddie, with like kind of the boxy blonde hair kind of thing going on. And even when you look in his room, you can see a picture in the comics. Eddie Brock actually has his son now. And so you see a photo of his son and all this kind of stuff. So they're definitely, and they even bring up, if you're a long time, well, even a recent Marvel reader, the King in Black and all that, they bring up all that stuff. So, he is the, definitely, I'm more of the hero than just the anti-hero version. And so he feels like in the story, he does something originally when you run into him, and he's trying to repent for it. And then you have these deep dive conversation with Eddie Brock while you're painting. It's so odd. And then the very next part is you fighting, and he's great to fight with. Like, he is a powerhouse to fight with. And he's like, literally, one of them is eat brains is one of his attacks. And you're just like, okay, he just ate a man, and then we're gonna go do yoga on the edge of the Abbey. It's so weird. Like, it is such a weird dichotomy of a video game that it's charming now. Like, I just, like, whatever. I'm just gonna accept it. Like, any minute now, like, Ghost Rider is gonna start making out with a gargoyle, and I'm like,
I'm here for the story.
Yeah, I'm here for the story. But the gameplay is really fun, and I know a lot of people are waiting for an XCOM from them again, and I'm sure they probably have an A team and a B team now. But this is doing really good, and I'm pretty sure we're going to be getting a lot more Midnight Sun stuff for the near future. So, if you like the game, I would 100% check out the DLC so far. The next thing on the list is something we talk about almost every game, and I am so sorry, but yeah, it's my show, so you can deal with it.
Well, what if I can't?
Yeah, well, yeah. we played some Fortnite, which I know is a shock. Mike, can you tell people why we played Fortnite last night?
We played Fortnite last night. Wow, it's hard to say.
Wow,
for a charity stream by Special Effect called Game Blast, in this case 23, because it's year 2023. And it's a charity event to help research and pay for custom gaming equipment for disabled people.
Yep.
And so we and Sean LeBode from the UK, one of our good friends,
been on the show several times,
played for 8 hours, I think, Fortnite. And
he played for 24. I wasn't about
to do that. He played for 24 of different games. For him, he went through different games, but we played the last 8 hours of his stream. We played Fortnite.
And we won exactly no games.
No games whatsoever. Which is what happened last year.
Yeah, so we're going to have to do it next year, and then, just break that tradition.
Exactly.
we'll all get doped up and just practice. But one of the other reasons I wanted to talk about Fortnite is the season is coming to an end.
Thank goodness, because of all the glitching.
Yeah, this is one of the very first seasons. Other than it's a beautiful map. It's a lot of cool stuff. it is incredibly broken.
It is
like
very
it is
broken.
probably the most broken, like in a long time, version of the game, at least on consoles, at least on PS5.
Yeah.
I don't know where everything else is, but I know people were playing on PC and they were having issues too.
Literally the night before, I was glitching out so hardcore that I was seeing people in frame rate basically jumping people 20 feet, and then all of a sudden walls were gone that I didn't even see break, and I die. I'm like, what's going on?
By the way, all of that sounded like a really cool pop song. Whatever that you said.
It
is. Thank you, Lady Gaga. Yeah, my biggest issues of it has been really is they have created something really kind of special with the set piece. I've really loved the map. It's got some great points. Like you can do some amazing choke points, and like there's a lot of strategy with this map. I really love where a lot of things are placed. It's probably one of my favorite maps so far.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, when they upgraded the physics and everything else in the map, I think it was a bit too much with a new map. And so it's been rough. It's been really rough. I haven't had this much. I haven't been kicked out of Fortnite this much since probably the third season or so. Like it's been a long time. And
I think it aired out on me twice. Last
night.
Last night or the night before. Yeah.
Last night, the one match you guys almost really won. I got kicked out right before, and I was like, "Oh my god, if you win, I'm going to be so pissed."
We almost won. Yeah, we had like second place.
It was like, I think they booted me, Kyle. I really do. I think they were like,
I believe they might have.
Tired of carrying this guy. We're just going to boot him, and we're going to win. But it's just so much cool stuff is going on. Like some of the mechanics, the new system where you can roll and you get like certain augments. That freaking hawk drone thing that I love to use. There's so much fun stuff that I'm enjoying. You're gonna have to like whatever it is you guys got to do, Epic. Just if you got to do what you did, get her done. That thing you did where you shut off Fortnite for like a week or whatever it was at one time. If you got to do that, do it again. I mean, we'll definitely be talking about the season finale and the new season, probably on the next episode. I think is close to
it. Yeah.
Yeah. Now we did finally get all the Witcher stuff that came out, so that was pretty fun.
Nice.
He's decent looking. Like I like the model they did for him. He looks pretty close to I never can say his damn name for some Geralt. Thank you. He looks pretty close to the character model from even the upgraded version of the game. With a little bit of that Fortnite character kind of look to it. But it's again, we'll be playing this game forever, probably. But it's just definitely needs some TLC for the next season. And some of the best seasons have been the season after a broken season. So hopefully we'll get something pretty badass. Any other games? Have you got anything else, Kyle?
Nothing crazy right now. Actually, sorry. Atomic Heart. I have actually dabbled in Atomic Heart. And that game is freaking wild. Let me tell you. Okay, so it's on Game Pass. If you got Game Pass, I definitely recommend it because it's one of those that's pretty darn fun.
Oh, that's right. You're
very interesting.
Too.
Yeah,
I was like, you don't have an Xbox.
Interesting concept. Well, I have the more expensive Xbox.
Yeah, well.
And a super upgradable all the time Xbox, Mike. So,
oh my god, he is totally becoming a PC person.
PC master race.
Anyway, it's literally like playing a new BioShock. It feels like BioShock.
Okay. I remember the trailers. It looked
when I loaded it up on PC, it's literally got like a 40 minute before you really get into any combat, anything like that.
Just story and all that kind of stuff.
So it's like, all right, let's get used to some of this stuff. And what makes it crazy is when you finally get going, man, the visuals of this the game is insane.
Isn't it crazy, though?
It is one of the more gorgeous games I have seen in the hottest of, a while.
But isn't it the craziest thing, though, where, it just... I know we've done this, and any of us that have been doing gaming for a long time, and whatever. But this generation just feels like every, year, it's just exponentially just increasing the fidelity at, such a rate.
Oh, my gosh.
That that uncanny valley thing is just gonna be what? That valley's gone, buddy. It went in the dust.
It's insane. It's like a BioShock, as I'm sitting there playing it and, getting some of the stuff. It's like a BioShock meets Terminator-esque in a way. These machines go
you throw some Blade Runner in there, and I would be
it could eventually. I just got to see some Blade Runner, really. I need to watch. I've never seen Blade Runner.
Okay, that's officially part of our bucket list movie.
We're gonna have to watch both of them.
No. We're going to be doing some Patreon special stuff, and that was going to be bucket list movies we hadn't seen. You just picked one.
Yep.
I'm fine with it. I know I've wanted to get around to watching it, but oh gosh, it's really funny because one of the ways you upgrade your gear or your weapons in this game is you literally talk to a sex-craved Coke machine. And she is just horny as shit. But you can upgrade your guns.
I have a bear that I can introduce her to.
That's hey, there you go. It's crazy because one of the weapons I saw people do is they had a pistol and they infused it with some electrical base attacks and whatnot, and boy does it just destroy some of the mechanical enemies you go up against. I haven't been this in tune for that kind of game in a hot minute, for a BioShock game since BioShock, and that one takes I've got the craziest feel on that one.
We've had a few kind of pale comparisons, and every so often you'll get, but if you think about it, if you like BioShock and you like what's it called we talked about last episode,
Dead Space.
Thank you. There's some similarity to the monster down the hallway type of thing. Is that kind of how this is? Or is it just the aesthetic?
Yes, it's kind of both. You have the aesthetics, because literally it's set in Russia, I believe. And the way that they have it is you're literally, when you start, you're actually in the sky, and there's different port, kind of like BioShock Infinite, except... Well, no, it's still the same because there were still multiple different platforms of the city in the sky. Same thing. There's multiple different platforms of the sky in the city, or the city in the sky.
Right. And you probably are locked out of certain areas or something.
Well, and I'm sure I may have not gotten there yet, but you actually go to ground level. You transfer from this flying car and you go to this area because you're sent on a mission. And
that's right. It is like Blood Runner. There is flying cars, so you got me.
So there is some aspects in it where it's you're trying to find this rogue person, and just shit hits the fan along the way. And
do they have an atomic heart?
Some of them do.
Apparently there's shit all over the fan, so it doesn't really matter.
It's pretty nuts.
It sounds like a fun game, though. Is it
very entertaining
right now, or is it?
No, you can get it on Xbox. You can get it on PlayStation.
It's on PlayStation also, yeah.
And I saw a bunch of reviews and stuff, and they were giving it 7s, things like that. And my experience so far, I feel like it's an 8 at least. From the experience, it's super fun.
That's the thing, though. A 7 is is a really weird broad target. Depending on the reviewer, the site, and the game. So when I see a 7, I think, okay, that's a game I'll play. I might not buy it right off the bat, but I will play it, especially with a limited budget and games being, almost $80 now. It's kind of hard to just pick up a game. But I like the fact that it's on Game Pass. That's still probably one of the best deals in gaming. And this is somebody who just has a PlayStation right now. So I do agree. Game Pass is a very, very good deal. Let us know what as you keep playing it, what you think of it, and we'll definitely talk about it. So I think let's get into our games for now. Wanted to go into some other entertainment to talk about. Starting next episode, we will have a segment about current comics, about especially number ones. It'll probably be a little segment kind of done by itself and just kind of put into the show. So there's a lot of little extra things like that coming in the next several episodes in this coming season that we're about to hit. So get ready for that, because we're going to be getting pretty deep into some different corners of fandom we haven't talked about, including stuff like action figures and even D&D. So who's seen Megan? That's something we could talk about. Who's seen Megan?
I have not.
I have not either.
I'm the only one that's seen Megan.
Yeah.
Do you both know what Megan is?
Yes.
Besides being
Chucky 14, but female.
Kinda. That's the best way I could. Okay, it's how I went into the movie. Like, I was completely like, okay, this is gonna be a Child's Play ripoff with a little bit of like maybe possibly sci-fi hint.
Mm-hmm.
It turned out to be. Have either one of you seen Happy Death Day?
Yes.
I have not.
Okay, Happy Death Day is probably one of my favorite horror comedy, but 1 and 2. 2, though, became basically a sci-fi movie that had a little bit of a horror, like, tinge to it as far as I was concerned. And that's kind of how Megan feels to me. Like, and I'm watching, this is the only version I've seen, is the unrated version. It's streaming in the US on Peacock right now. It feels like a very well made Black Mirror episode.
Okay.
And as a compliment, that is a very big compliment.
Yeah.
The fact that it was Jason Blum from Blumhouse or Blumhouse, whatever. The fact that he greenlit the sequel before the first one ever came out, and that is a big deal because they don't do that.
Yeah.
Their business model is basically every movie pretty much gets the same budget. And then when they get to a certain point, they decide, is it going to go to just streaming or is it going to go theatrical? And they don't decide on stuff like sequels until the movie's already come out and produced.
Yeah.
And the fact that he dressed up like Megan for Halloween and announced a sequel before the movie even came out, I kind of had a feeling that this might be something kind of special in its own little way. Is it predictable? Yeah. The set pieces, if you've watched any horror movie whatsoever, you're basically going to go, okay, well, that person's going to die. Okay, well, this is going to happen. But the way they do it is good. Like, it's predictable, but it's good. And you're also going, if you know in the back of your mind, okay, we know there's a sequel coming. You can kind of see that they could go from okay, that was kind of predictable, but cool, to complete, what the fuck for the second one. Like, I completely see that. But the whole thing is, little girl, it's in a time where there's like these things kind of like Furbies, and there's this company that her aunt works for, and she makes these little things. She gets one, something happens to her family. I'm trying not to spoil anything. And she ends up having to live with her aunt who makes these things. To help in what's going on with her life, this thing that she's been working on, she basically increases the production of making it and speeds up things. And Megan comes into the picture. The actress that plays her, I've purposely not looked at too much of the special effects for it. I do know for a fact, I can tell as I'm watching the movie, and I kept like dissecting the movie as we were watching it, and Tara was like, shh. But I knew we were going to talk about it on the show. I could tell they slowly kind of humanize the character a little bit, like in the face, but she definitely has that big eyes and definitely has this very unsettling 100%. They could have gone a lot more human, but I know they were purposely bumping up against that uncanny valley. Like they were doing that on purpose to kind of make people feel this is creepy,
little uncomfortable. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, it's a little creepy. But the performances are pretty decent. You do get a little bit of I tripped and fell, kind of stuff. But the boss at the company, there's a scene that is all over TikTok with her, and he ended up being one of my favorite, he's a terrible human being, but he ended up being one of my favorite characters in the thing. And the scene with him is fantastic. So if you like these kind of movies, I would 100% check it out, especially in the States. If you've got Peacock, go check it out. It's freaking $10 for Peacock or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
$5 million.
$5 million. But I mean, there's another show on that I was going to talk about anyway on Peacock. So this works. How many times am I going to say Peacock? Peacock? The other show on that network, which I don't know where it is. Sorry for our UK and overseas listeners. There's a show called Poker Face. I cannot remember the name of the actress, and it's going to drive me nuts. But the premise is there is a woman, and she's working at a casino. In the very first episode, has a bunch of actors you would absolutely recognize, like Benjamin Bratt and Natasha Lyonne.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah, but it's got like Adrian Brody and Benjamin Bratt in the first episode, and it's created by Ryan Johnson, who we're not going to talk about Star Wars with him, but he made Knives Out, which I think we can agree is a pretty decent,
fantastic movie series.
Yeah, and Glass Onion, absolutely loved it as well.
Awesome.
I still need to watch those.
So basically, this is a televised Murder, She Wrote kind of Ryan Johnson weekly whodunit. Okay. And the thing with her character is she can tell if someone's talking to her. She has this crazy ability to tell if she just knows they're telling a lie. Like, absolutely. And it's 100% accurate.
She has synesthesia.
Maybe. But she literally says bullshit. And sometimes she can't control herself.
Yeah, you lying bitch syndrome.
Basically. And so, which gets her in trouble a lot because every episode, because if something happens in the first episode, she basically has to pull the A-team thing and go on the run. And so each episode is her stumbling into a different murder, essentially, which is like, if I saw her headed my way or working around me, I would just run at that point.
Run,
bitch, run! But a lot of the episodes, they do the murder will happen or whatever, and then they go back after about 10-15 minutes and show that she was around the situation somewhere and is her trying to figure out the murder or whatnot. And each episode kind of feels like it's almost part of that Knives Out, Glass Onion universe. Like I'm expecting her to run into what's his name? Oh God, I love that character. But from the Knives Out and Glass Onion movies. If you like murder mysteries and you like Knives Out and Glass Onion, it's a 100% surefire bet. Like, it's just something that the fact that we get a weekly TV series with that is calling
cool. BS.
Yeah. Well, it's such a great, horrible power though. Like, if you had the ability to honestly 100% tell if anybody was lying at any time, I think it would drive you insane. Because everybody tells white lies, like, all the time. Oh yeah, you look great. That sure looks great on you. You don't look fat. And that's just people saying what people say to me. So I can't imagine, what other people. But it definitely touches on those subjects. And again, has every episode, you're kind of like, oh my God, they got on this person. Oh my God, they got on that person. And it's crazy. I mean, the last episode that just came out had Nick Nolte, John Ratzenberger, from Cheers and every freaking Pixar movie, is in an episode. Ron Perlman's in it. It's just every episode there's somebody you're like, oh my God, it's a special guest star. And it kind of reminds me growing up in the 80s when you would have all these TV shows and it was a special guest star kind of thing. So anyway.
Oh man, that's exactly how porn goes.
It does, exactly.
Special guests in that.
I don't even want to know what porn you watch.
Special guest kind.
Special guest kind. But I if you like Ryan Johnson's murder stuff, I would, which that does sound like a porn. I would 100% check out that show. Again, I don't know if it's outside of the US yet. I don't know where it is, but here in the United States, it's on Peacock. Peacock? Oh, and 2 other shows, and then I want Kyle to Let's Talk Ant-Man, and then we'll get into the subject of the episode. Another show that I 100% recommend. It's from the same people that do a little show about an American living over in the UK, as a football coach.
Nice.
It's the same people. They made a show on Apple Plus called Shrinking. And Shrinking, first, great cast. It's definitely shocking to see some of the people that are in it together. I mean, Jason Segel in a comedy, of course, that's okay. He's done a ton of them. Mm-hmm. But the fact that Harrison Ford.
That's right. I forgot Harrison's on there. I need to.
You're in a first name basis. Oh no, that's Mr. Ford.
I need to re-up my subscription to Apple Plus so I can watch it.
It's a good reason because if you like their other show, you would definitely love
Lasso.
Yeah, Ted Lasso. I don't know why I was being all secretive about it, but if you like, actually for some reason I couldn't remember the name, but it's falling into similar, but not in a bad way, where it's incredibly kind of light, and which is a messed up thing because the story is basically Jason Segel. His wife died a year earlier, and he's in a practice with Harrison Ford and another partner, and he finally gets sick of listening to the people just bitch, and not actually do anything about it. And he finally, one of the patients, he goes, "Just leave your husband. He doesn't love you." And it is basically him having a breakdown too. Right. And so it kind of goes from there. Harrison Ford plays a therapist who ends up being diagnosed with Parkinson's.
Okay.
And so he's having to deal with that and his mistakes, and anyone who knows anyone who's actually worked in that field, they're a lot of times some of the most broken people you will ever meet. And it definitely deals with that. And it's incredibly laugh out loud funny. And then the next minute, just like,
super serious.
It's his sister show or brother show or whatever.
Yeah.
It goes very serious, and it's definitely falling into thing. But the greatest friggin' thing has come from this series so far is there is a scene in one of the latest episodes that Harrison Ford is on drugs, and he is absolutely funny. Like, it's so weird. Like, the first couple episodes, it's really hard not to see Han Solo, Indiana Jones, hell, even, from the Tom Clancy movies, like Jack Ryan, like, it's really hard for me to see him outside that. But it took about an episode or two, and then, damn, if he doesn't at least get nominated for an Emmy, I'll be really shocked. It's definitely probably one of the best comedies out there right now. So
that's
cool. I think it's on Apple Plus everywhere. So absolutely.
Down near you.
You
said that was Poker Face, right?
No, Poker Face.
That was the other show.
Yeah. And the last show we're going to talk about is something that Kyle, you can take a nap if you need to for a second.
Okay.
No, I don't know. Kyle, are you a Star Trek fan at all? Uh-oh.
You're cutting out.
I'm dying.
Okay. Hey, are you a Star Trek fan at all?
Not really. Go ahead.
That's why I figured it would be a second. Okay, I'm not going to get too in the weeds with this because I would actually like to have a bit of a spoiler episode, or at least a segment with Mike and myself, and maybe we can bring on somebody else that's for that segment, maybe Sean or somebody who's a really big Star Trek person. I'm personally, you and I had a discussion, Mike, where I said, hey, this is one of my favorite Star Trek things I've seen in a long time. And you kind of had to think of, really? Like, I didn't dig with that with you because I wanted to ask you here.
Yeah.
Are you not feeling the same, or is there?
Remind me the subject.
Of like, I said to you, this is probably one of my favorite Star Trek things I've seen in a long time.
Like the show itself?
Yeah, the show itself.
Yeah, I like the show.
Okay. I didn't know if there was like something where you were like, not for me.
No, the last thing I remember us talking about was downgrading the Borg to sterilize them, basically, and you didn't like that.
Oh yeah,
That's
where
what
they
I
were
remember.
Yeah, no, that was for other stuff, but that was for like the season 2.
Season 2, yeah.
Season 1 of Pichard has its faults, but it's nice to see people around, and it was, and I was like, if this is all we get, this is all we get, and I'm kind of okay with it. It answered a few questions, and then at the same time, it made Pichard pretty much immortal almost, and it was kind of weird. I didn't quite get the understanding of that one. Kinda.
No, he's not though.
It's not though, but you know what I mean. It was like I didn't quite understand some of it, but I was like, okay, whatever. I enjoyed it, but I'm also TNG was such an instrumental part of me growing up that it's just and season 2 I felt was a lot more action oriented and fun, and just had this whole heisty sort of time travel-y kind of thing, and I was like, okay, this is pretty fun. And of course, the entire time I'm thinking pandemic filming too, because people are like sitting far apart and all this kind of stuff. But there was some. I enjoyed season 2 for what it was. I felt like Pichard feels to me sort of like TNG was. The first couple seasons were aight, and then all of a sudden season 3 popped in and it got really good. And that's kind of what's going on with this. It's like this feels like those were all prequels to the real series, to me.
And the fact this is the last season.
Well, this is the last season of Pichard.
Yeah.
I guarantee you they are setting up an entire universe right here. They're setting up
I can see that.
Yeah, they are.
They totally are. This is a TNG universe. They're going to, this timeline, they're going to be playing in this for a while. They're setting up characters to, I can almost look at certain characters that go, gonna die, gonna die, gonna die, gonna be on the next Enterprise, gonna be on this. You just kind of know, and they were mentioning certain things, like when he said about the whole spoiler cast will definitely go in it, but the fact that they set up, this is gonna be really hard to not say. They set up a character that is incredibly important now in the Star Trek TNG time. The fact that this character is a direct tie to crap. Okay. I don't know how to do this without just spoiling. You know what?
I don't even know.
You know what? I'm pretty sure, if you're a fan, you've probably already watched it.
Are we talking about the handler?
No, that was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. I'm talking about the person that they save or try to save on the ship.
Yes, okay, got it.
That is the big sticking point.
Okay.
That particular person, I have a feeling, has
it's
a long
huge.
term.
Yeah,
they have a long term, and they wrote that person like a cross between some of the favorite captains. It's he's kind of a mix, and there's a reason for it. The fact that one of the other things too, the big bad that they kind of introduced in the season is this mysterious woman, and she's on the bridge and she smokes a lot and doesn't realize it causes cancer, but in the future, I don't know if it does. It's Christopher Plummer's daughter. That's Christopher Plummer's daughter, who, if you don't know Star Trek, was in Star Trek Undiscovered Country. He's the one that has the weird patch on his eye. He was also the dad in Sound of Music.
Yes.
So the family lineage, like Star Trek always does, continues.
And she's amazing in this.
Yeah, she is. It's creepy. But it is very well done. I love the chemistry with Patrick Stewart and Number One. There's a whole scene where they're stuck on a bunk bed. It's pure 100% the original cast in the movies. It's that we've known each other for 40 years. And they're just laughing when the cameras are off, and that there's just this real chemistry, and it's great. Jonathan Frakes, definitely this is of the 3 seasons he's been in, this is definitely the fittest he's looked. He's looking pretty good.
He's looking really good now.
Yeah.
I can hear Pichard right now just going, stow it, Will.
Stow it, Will. Yeah, it's totally it's perfect. It's been really great. The captain they introduce in the show is a dick. He's an absolute dick, and I love. He says one of my all-time favorite Star Trek lines now of all. This will forever be one of my favorite lines. He said, "We're trapped in a corner, and there's no corners in space." And I was like, oh my God, that is great. It's not only nerdy, but it's just fantastic. So if you're a Star Trek fan, especially a TNG fan, because this show is 100% aimed right at TNG fans.
Yeah,
They're not even really apologizing. They're just like, you don't know what's going on? Oh well. But I think even if you didn't, you kind of understand the importance of a lot of these characters.
Yeah.
So I think you would understand, okay, this is great. And it's fun action. The only thing that's slowing it down for me is what's her name? I can't think of her name. She's a newer character for Pichard.
Mm-hmm.
She started with season 1.
Yeah.
Yep, yes, her name's Petunia. I love you, Cod. I know you're hanging on.
Are we talking section 31?
Yeah. Her stuff's a bit slow. Like it slows it down a bit, especially when you're there to watch TNG cast members. And you're just like, she's a good character, but I just don't care. Like and then you get a TNG character, and you're like, okay, I care again. But it's interesting to see, and I think it's a really good. It's really hard as a fan of that show, though. It had one of the best series finales of all time, as far as I'm concerned. People don't remember. It's where Pichard on the Enterprise.
Oh, okay.
All the commanding officers would sit and play poker.
Yeah. Okay, so we are talking all good things.
And basically they were like, he's like, can I play? And I'm like, we've always saved you a seat, basically.
Yeah.
And it's just like, heartbreak. And and then you get that last TNG movie, and it's like, ouch, that was rough. And so this is a nice farewell to probably Pichard, but the beginning of maybe more stuff in that universe. So I'm pretty happy. And we are going to be getting, just like Star Wars, we're going to be getting something Star Trek on Paramount for probably
a while.
Every month for the foreseeable future. It's making a money. So they're between that and Halo, I think we're going to be getting quite a bit of stuff. So
yeah, I
think that's about it as far as me rambling on about TV shows, movies, and games. But I wanted to talk to Mr. Kyle about a certain man who is the one with the ants. I have not seen it yet, so please do not spoil it. Spoil it.
MODOK kills everybody.
Well, I do know MODOK's in it because it does show him, but
within the trailer,
within the trailer. I want you to tell me what you think so far. I mean, you're probably wrong, but no, I want you to tell me what you think. But then I have several questions that I really want to ask, and then we're going to talk about the subject is going to be: is the MCU kind of are people tired? Are we did we do too much? Like, what's going on? Are we kind of hitting that, fatigue with the Marvel Universe? Let's start off with Kyle's spoiler-free
movie. Yes, spoiler-free opinion of the movie itself.
No, just about Rudd. I don't want to hear about the movie. I just want to hear about your.
You just want the Rudd.
I hate that motherfucker. Yeah, no.
No, I think, to be fair, Paul Rudd just does a great job every time. Like, I just like Paul Rudd.
Dude, Paul Rudd, I could watch him paint and then sit there and watch the paint dry. Like, I absolutely love Paul Rudd.
To be fair, there is there's a little play at, if you've seen the meme, like, look at this, look at us, look at us. Yeah, that plays they do that in this movie.
I was actually really spoiled. The latest spot that they're playing on social media shows Bill Murray, and I was like, "Why would you?"
Oh yeah, that was in the trailer not too long ago.
I was like,
so, yeah,
stuff like that.
He was in a trailer, so it wasn't anything new in terms unless you hadn't seen the trailer.
Also, really so weird. I mean, okay. I think I've told my Bill Murray story like several times, but I'll tell for just 1 second. Everyone knows Bill Murray is like people that have worked with Bill Murray or get Bill Murray in a movie. You literally have to call. You have to have access to this is a story at least. You have to have access to his voicemail. He goes through it. He doesn't have an agent. He does everything on his own, and he'll either go, yeah, I'll do it. He'll just randomly call you, and you just have to pray to God he's actually going to come. That's always what I've been told. And like, I've been told that by many, many people. But when he's there, everything's perfect. It's not like he's an alcoholic or anything. It's just, whatever. But I've always heard he kind of like, he's in and he vanishes. And I was like, oh, he's not freaking Batman. And then when Mike and I were at Comic-Con a few years ago, I'm standing there looking at some t-shirts and I look over and he's right next to me, like right there. And I'm like, oh my God. And I'm like fumbling for my phone. I'm like, oh, I'm going to get one of those weird photos, where like you're not taking a picture of him, but you're taking a picture of yourself. And he's like behind you kind of thing. And I go and he was gone. And I was like, he is a damn ninja. Like, I'm pretty sure he is. But anyway, it's just so weird that like he picks that role, but it took him forever to get into a Ghostbusters movie again. So I don't know. Anyway, go ahead.
So specifically, how I felt about the movie, like I know it's one of those movies. To be fair, I figure you're either gonna love it or you're gonna hate it. But like
that's all I'm hearing.
The love portion is, in terms of loving it, it's okay, like as a love. So it's like, okay, it's fine to an extent.
Do you think it'll grow on you, or do you think you were expecting too much, or do you think...
See, I didn't expect too much.
I mean, the first animated movies are very, no pun intended, actually pun intended, they're very small movies. They're almost like a Disney Plus TV show.
The way I see them is not like I see like Thor and whatnot, where like... So, and here's how I view. A lot of people didn't like Thor, like Love and Thunder. I enjoyed it to an extent. Like I actually like the comedy, like, and that's fine. And to me, it's just a fun movie. It's just a fun movie.
I think the thing that they've been trying to do really hard, Marvel and Feige have been trying to do very hard, is trying to make a different experience for each movie. Like, this is a horror movie, but we're running into like 30-something movies now. And you're kind of running out of genres. So you kind of need to pick a lane for a few things. Also, we'll get into that later. Let's do the review, because I have...
no. So as I'm sitting here watching, I'm like, this is fun. I like it. And see, again, Ant-Man is not as big as Thor. So I'm like, okay, I'm not going to expect pizzazz. Although...
now you see his Paul Rudd going, pizzazz.
Although Jonathan Majors is... fucking phenomenal.
Well, there's a reason why he's the big bad.
He's so good, and I mean that's why I'm actually excited for Creed 3, but that's the whole different thing. So,
wait, he's in Creed 3?
Yes, he's playing the bad dude in Creed 3.
I did not know that. Keep going. Sorry.
And as I'm sitting here watching it and things going on, it kind of like, this is actually one of the shorter Marvel movies. It's only 137 minutes.
Huh.
In a while, like, so I'm like, oh, this is pretty.
I wonder how much got cut, because that's really short.
Short, right?
Yeah,
that's what I said.
Really, really short for a Marvel movie.
Yeah,
I think one of the shortest. Dude, I can't think of the last one that's not at least 2 hours.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, man, they almost kind of scale towards 2 hours. So this one didn't. So like, it kind of kicks off pretty quickly, like where it is. Like, of course, his daughter gets into the whole thing.
Because it's a new actress.
Like, the actress is actually pretty good. It's fine. Yeah. The thing that I'm like on is the fact that the Wasp, she doesn't like. She isn't as strong a presence as she is in Ant-Man and the Wasp or Ant-Man itself.
They're making his daughter like
the big thing, but she's not like. But like she's specifically like hard-headed. She's usually the voice of but also a very powerful, strong person.
Yeah, I actually like Wasp. That's why I'm like.
And so in this one, she is in a way, but she's also like meh. So I'm like, oh man, they kind of dumbed her down a little, but she still has her ability-based stuff. So
one of the big differences between production of this movie and the first two, the first one was going to be directed by the gentleman who directed like Shaun of the Dead and whatnot, one of my favorite directors. And he opted out after a very lengthy period of development, and Paul Rudd actually stepped in and became one of the writers. I believe he worked on both the first and second one, but not the third one. And I know this because I listened to, there's a podcast called Fly on the Wall. It's David Spade and, what's his name? Bill and Ted. Not Bill and Ted, Wayne's World. I'll think of it in a minute. Anyway, it's all about people that have either been on SNL or whatnot. and they had Paul Rudd on just last week, and he was talking, and I could hear this little tinge in the back of his, like he's talking about Ant-Man, and he seemed a little bitter because apparently they had a completely different story for Ant-Man 3 they wanted to do, and they were like, no, we're going to go with something else. And he kind of had that, you could hear it in his voice, like, okay, that's fine. I mean, he said he loves the character, he wants to do the character, whatever, but that was just, you could hear it. Like,
yeah, no, and I can get the sense of where they're at with it and stuff.
Is this pure world building? Is that probably part of the problem?
It has a world building aspect. It's just they also have done it to where some of the other movies that they've done, just some of that stuff just doesn't matter anymore in some aspects. So,
well, I mean, we're gonna hit
like
that point anyway.
Yeah, so it's like they'll contradict themselves in some things, but it is what it is. That's how they did it. My biggest thing that I was like meh on is MODOK himself.
Yeah, I've heard it was the visuals. A lot of it was visuals.
So I'm going to go into two different things. So yes, we'll start with the visuals. So when they first introduced MODOK, and of course we all know who it is because again they did the trailer for it and everything, and you know stuff came out about who it was going to be and whatnot. So he first shows up, just his usual thing of either hunting down or just making a big entrance. Yeah. And when he does, he actually has his war mask on, and I'm like, oh, dope. You look great. Like, you look decent. Like, you look way better. And then he takes it off, and it's just a very poorly CG stretched face. And I'm like, it just looks bad. It's obvious.
This is going to be one of those pins for just a second. In a recent interview with Kevin Feige, without saying, yeah, things got effed up, and with a lot of reports that have come out recently that the effects teams were spread way too thin, partially because of the pandemic and partially because they were doing like 5 different TV series and like 5 movies, that they had pulled a ton of the people that were working on the effects for this movie, which is an incredibly, I mean, it's in the multiverse. It's got to be like, they're basically green screen the entire time. Which is different for a lot of Marvel movies, by the way. They pulled a bunch of the team. Now, this is just reports, but they pulled a bunch of the team off of this to work on Wakanda. And Wakanda looks dope. Like, it's great, the effects.
I mean, the effects are fine. I had a problem with the battle scene. It definitely looked too CG for me, but
that's what I'm hearing. And that's a shame because, one, it is a great character, especially there is a Marvel version of characters and there's an MCU version of characters. Sometimes in the comics, they're not that big a deal, or they're a big deal, but, they're whatever. But the MCU has taken some of the tertiary characters that are like our secondary heroes and have made them some of the best characters because of acting, direction, all that kind of stuff. So a character like this, and this is probably his last main, because most of them don't do more than 3, and then they just kind of, whatever. It deserved something really amazing, and it deserved the budget and the time and all that stuff. So to hear that, it's a shame. I feel like I'm going to sit down and I'm still going to enjoy it. Like, exactly. I've heard there's some very Kirby-esque feel about it. It's very comic booky in certain aspects. It's fun. The acting's fun. Like, it's going to be fine. Like, I have a feeling I'm like, it's cool.
Like, and that's the thing. Like, it is to the extent, like, the movie itself, you're either going to love it or going to hate it. Like, I know a bunch of people enjoyed Wakanda Forever. I thought it was rather boring, but that's just me, and it's probably also very hard, especially coming off of Chad Boswick. Like, that whole situation, it's very hard to follow up with their main.
I will say this.
I say the tribute as well.
Watched it. I did watch it in segments, partially because I kept freaking choking up every time I was watching it. Like, anytime they would focus in on anything to do with, Chadwick's Panther, I would be like I was just like, oh yeah, like I get it, turn off, kind of thing.
Exactly, yeah.
And like that entire opening is one of the most beautiful Marvel scenes of any movie. That's just beautiful freaking movie. It's
fantastic.
I understand why they sunk money into that movie. One, because the first one has made way more money than any of the Ant-Man movies. So that's yeah, I can see that. 2, it is a tribute movie, and 3, I don't know the 3, but I had 2, so it's just. But overall, you do think you'll gonna watch it again, right, Ant-Man?
Oh, Ant-Man, I would probably watch that again for sure. Again, Jonathan Majors, incredible. I'm hoping the Kang Dynasty stuff, they don't just like shit the bed with this, because that's
It's
a
a
major event.
huge, yeah. I'm actually rereading all that right now, and
So
it's actually a really great story.
yeah,
And Kang is such a big character in the mythos of Marvel that him stepping into that role, that's a very big role. That's Thanos level again. Like, that is a big deal. So
yeah, I mean, he's up there. So
my last 2 questions. First, post credits, are they good? Yes or no?
yes, the second one more so hints towards TV show. That's
Okay.
really anything. Yeah, of
Okay.
course, that was and it's already confirmed based up. So that's not
And
anything.
how was the music?
Music, I enjoyed for sure. I
As
think they've
someone
had
who
some.
listens to MCU soundtracks all the time, like
I think it's fine. I think it was fun,
okay.
like some things like that. So, like,
Mhm.
I think some of their choices are fine. Again, it's biggest things, and this is, and I'll go back into Black Panther. So for a second, where Ant-Man also doesn't have the same problem as Wakanda did for me, is because the fact that Jonathan Majors was, of course, the main bad person.
Yeah,
And he is so well done. Having MODOK in it,
he's not even eye candy. He's bad eye candy.
he's bad eye candy, which sucks because MODOK is such a huge, again, portion in the Marvel universe, and because he's a big bad player.
Do you think it was like, well, we need to put MODOK in something, and or do you think there's going to be more?
I think they should have done it differently. Honestly, I was like, if you're gonna do MODOK, I would have rather them gone similar of a way of the Marvel Avengers game instead of what they did.
Oh, dude, I was about to say that, like we talked about earlier, the Avengers game storyline, that version of MODOK is great. Like,
I think that okay. Totally well done in terms of,
and kind of unique to itself.
Yeah.
Like it was fine. Like it still accomplished what it needed to accomplish.
Exactly. And that's why I was trying to say, where Ant-Man I think is stronger with its villain. That's where I think Wakanda lacked. To me, I thought Namor was boring.
I liked Namor, and I understand where he's coming from, and whatnot. It's just
I like the way they look. 100%. I like the Aztec stuff. I think it's cool. I just like, it's funny when you're going to compare, because typically, Marvel has a comparison to DC and so on and so forth. They have this kind of, it's like,
there was a Marvel moment.
Honestly, there's already had a movie, but it's like, man.
Yeah, no,
it just isn't as pizzazzy as that, which is kind of crazy.
There is a Martha moment, and there is one of the biggest things that, like, I was so excited who became Black Panther. Like, I was like,
I had no problem.
Yeah, that was great. And then at the very, very end, and I'm not spoiling anything, go watch it on Disney Plus. There is a character that is introduced that kind of almost, is basically like, well, your time as that is so limited now. And it kind of really pissed me off with that. Like, I kind of get it, and I understand why they did it. I do understand, but at the same time, I'm trying not to spoil anything. But it's a character that's introduced at the very, very end, if you get what I mean.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, since we're talking about, but you do recommend, so we'll do that. We'll put that on the board first. You do recommend watching it, at least if you're a Marvel
I would
fan.
at least say, like, in terms of going into the Kang Dynasty stuff, of course, Loki was the one that truly started it.
Yeah.
It's one to watch because you get the beginning stages. So, and you can watch it once if you feel like it's not a movie that's great for you. You can at least go in knowing you can appreciate at least Jonathan Majors' sense of what he can deliver as Kang and the potential of what can be if they do it right.
I'm going to try really hard to go see it this week and see another movie, Cocaine Bear, which totally sings to me. that movie I'm just so excited to see. But the topic of the week before we end this glorious episode is about, are we in Marvel fatigue? Now, we can also say, are we just in comic book fatigue as far as movies and television shows go? Probably. Like it's not as much like, ooh, this is, I still do it. But
let me
it's
ask
like,
you something then. So Marvel fatigue here, right?
Yeah.
And it's because we've got the greatest of the greats going into, the end game and all that. Do you more or less so see it as now, is it the Marvel fatigue, or is it the actors that made Marvel, and now that they're gone, it doesn't hit the same?
It's a little bit of A and B. One of the first, and Mike, both of you have been on since pretty much a good chunk of the MCU has come into existence. Yeah. I think Phase 2 was about when I moved back to Texas. Mm-hmm. One of my biggest issues with Phase 2 was that it was pretty much world building. Like, almost a good chunk of Phase 2 was world building. And it was annoying. Like, I understand the concept and why they need to do it, but if you're going to have TV series, let that be the world building, and then just do the movies, and that's fine. But the thing is, 12, whatever it is, years ago, comic movies were pretty shit for the most part. Mm-hmm. Like, you didn't have a lot of connective tissue between movies. If you did, it was so damn special. And so you definitely have a fatigue of that luster. It's sort of like that thing that we talked about when the PS5 came out, and we're like, oh my God, it's like two seconds to load. But, we were joking, we're going to start bitching how long it takes to load. And it's been, 4 years? And I bitch all the time. Yeah, it's sort of like that. So, shut up. But
I would say Marvel Phase 2 could be anywhere from 50% batting. Because I would argue Guardians of the Galaxy and Captain America Winter Soldier are like the two top tier movies.
No, I'm not saying the entire thing. But
I know what you were saying. I was like,
there was so much world building. Or is Iron Man 2 is Phase 2, right?
No, Iron Man 2 was not Phase 2. Iron Man 3 is Phase 2.
Yeah. Okay. Which, by the way, Mike and I will argue about this forever, but I actually like Iron Man 3 way more than I like 2. So
I don't even like 2.
I don't know what you're talking about. You don't want to see Whiplash just flinging around some whips?
My blood.
I like 1. I can tolerate 2. 3 can just fall off a cliff.
3, honestly, 3's the one with the fake Mandarin, right?
Yeah, that's the one
now that he's such a big part of the MCU, Kingsley is part like a character like with
Hail to the King or whatever it's called. Yeah, the little
with what he's in Shang-Chi, and and he's going to be in a bunch of apparently he's in the sequel and all this stuff. So he's becoming a part of the they were like, you know what, you didn't like this character, well, we're gonna make you like this character.
Well, I was okay with him. I'm talking about the addition of the extra Iron Men thing, the iron suits that were all remote controlled. I did not care.
I think that was kind of playing with the whole
it actually happens.
That happens.
I know it does. It's just,
was that before? And that was before Ultron, right? Because I think this was
was just before Ultron. Yeah.
Yeah, it was within, because it was 2013. Iron Man 3 came out. Ultron comes out 2015. No, the suits were a setup to his ideal theory of he wanted a suit around the world.
Correct.
So, because he got this almost god complex of thinking, I need to save everyone.
Right.
And that's a common trope in frickin' comics. Like, it really is. But, at some point, we'll probably sit down and just break down each thing, maybe leading up into one of the big movies coming up. We'll just go through and power watch all the movies and do reviews or whatever. But to be honest with you, it's kind of a blob. Like, the MCU now is this giant blob of one story now. Like, it's kind of like, yes, there are bits and pieces that definitely stand out, but some of them are just part of the blob. Like, they're just part of the overall story.
Right.
And then you get a Winter Soldier, or you get a Guardians, or you get a whatever, and they're their own special. They're almost like a film quality kind of thing. Or, you get a Black Panther or whatever. those are those quality. And then you just get this blob of like story, which isn't bad, isn't terrible, but it's all part of one giant story. And that's
I was gonna say, yeah, you're right. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. I think at least how I'm seeing it, the big thing is like what you're saying is they're starting their formula over.
Yeah, and they don't know exactly where to put the foot.
And that's the thing. They're starting the formula over like it's phase 1-esque. Again, not truly phase 1, but I would say phase 2. Yeah. I would say phase 2 more than phase 1 because phase 1 was already set. So, needless to say, I was going to say with the phase 2, like this is what they're doing, but now it's still following the formula of how everyone knows it is. There's a bad guy. The bad guy wins at first.
Yeah, there's a formula,
wins, and it's all the same. Every movie.
Yeah. And that's why when something like The Joker comes out, or something that it's a comic movie, but it's a film, or it's a, and these are DC things I'm using because there's actually very few I would use in the DC universe, and I love DC comics and, stuff, that, but, they have not been the greatest movies sometimes. But
who knows? Like at this point, not to say that, but like, as you're saying, there is now potential since Marvel is in this slump. If James Gunn and them come up, because DC is very good at making their things dark and stuff like that. I mean, again, to be fair, Batman is one of the ones that can survive anything and still do well.
I guarantee you this, though. Superman will be as far away from anything dark as you have seen since the Christopher Reeve movies. I guarantee you, James Gunn is he's not an alien. I mean, he's an alien, but they're not going to focus on.
He's just going to be SpongeBob in a man.
They're not going to focus in on the alien. They're not going to focus on all that stuff. They're going to focus on a kid from Kansas that has powers. I guarantee you that's the direction they're going to go. Just by interviews that I've seen, the pictures he's posting. James Gunn just posted a picture on Twitter asking their favorite Superman moments. And there's one where this giant version of Superman, like it was almost character drawn. It was in a comic. I don't remember which issue it was, where he's sitting on the porch at the Kent farm, and it's in one of those swings, like on the porch, and he's like giant, and his suit is like Clark Kent suit, like he's about to go to freaking work at the Daily Planet, and he's talking to Ma, and she's tiny, and she's like next to him, and she's asking him to be a good boy or something like that. It's just adorably cute, and it's basically what people that are longtime Superman fans kind of really want to see. Like,
we want that back,
I Batman can be the broody, whatever, and now we also know, and I, we didn't really talk about this, but this is actually good. We didn't talk about the James Gunn stuff as much, and we definitely didn't talk about the Flash trailer. So, surprise, we're going to talk about that for a second.
Oh, I'm ready for that bad boy because
me too. So this is the thing we're talking. This actually fits in perfectly with talking about the MCU and this stuff. So let me throw down a few statistics right quick, okay? This particular week that we're recording this, Ant-Man and the Wasp is now seen as the biggest week-to-week drop for an MCU film. Which before that, it was Thor: Love and Thunder had a 67% drop, which. That movie was very polarizing, I would say. Like, you either really loved it or didn't at all. And I loved it. I'm also a huge fan of the director, so that could play into it, and I kind of understand. Like, it had New Zealand quirkiness all over that movie. Like,
it was Taika, right?
Taika.
Yeah.
Before that, though, here's the thing that I'm seeing, though. Before that was Black Widow, and it had a 67% drop. And before that was Eternals, which was a 62% drop. So each movie has progressively seen a drop, except for Black Panther. I guarantee you, Guardians will probably be their number one for when it comes out for a long time, unless it just turns out to be James Gunn. Yeah,
I would say Black Panther probably benefited for the time it came out because nothing was else out.
It did. It also benefited for it. It had a little bit of.
Like, it's a cultural sense too.
I don't want to diminish the movie at all, but it did have a little bit. It had a little bit of the Heath Ledger.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Let's go.
Oh, 100%.
But again, is it just the quality? Because one could argue, okay, Love and Thunder was polarizing. I have to admit, my least favorite Marvel movie in a long time was Eternals, just because it felt like a mess to me. And I love the characters, but you took too many characters and you said, okay, care about all these characters. You don't know anything about them. Oh, they're omnipotent and they live forever and care.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, okay. And so there was some fun to it. I enjoyed it. It's definitely setting up some great stuff in the future, but including I get Space Harry Styles. I mean that automatically, like, as long as I get that, I'm cool. But it was, and even set up the Black Knight, which I fucking love, and even possibly Blade. But the movie itself, it just felt like a mess to me. Like, I don't know if you guys felt like that, but
I still haven't seen it.
I enjoyed it.
It has some great scenes in it, and I really enjoy a lot of the actors, especially Kingo. Like, he's one of my favorite actors. But the guy that has the kid, his character, like, there's some great stuff with that. I really enjoyed parts of it.
Yeah.
But it almost felt like, for the scope and epicness, this is where they should have done a TV series.
Right.
Like, Miss Marvel could have totally been a movie. And I liked Miss Marvel, but you could have done everything you did in that show in 2 hours. Easy peasy, and given a little bit of bigger budget. It would have been fine. And even maybe given her stretchy powers. Right. But I still love the show. Like, I love the show, I love the actors. It was fun. I enjoyed it. But Kevin Feige came out the other day and said, look, again, like I mentioned earlier, we've stretched ourselves too thin. He didn't say it, but if you read between the lines, he said it. And they basically were like, we're going to backpedal some of the shows that we were planning. We're not going to do as many. And there's probably only going to be about 2 movies a year.
Yeah.
So that's, to me, the biggest thing of Marvel going, maybe there is some fatigue. Because I would say,
I think they do need to do their quality over quantity.
Yes.
Exactly. Especially since we're, before you know it, we're going to be at like 50 movies, and we're like 30 something movies in, at least 6 or 7 series. Like, and there's at least 5 or 6 series that I know that are coming.
And
like
go ahead. I was going to say, because like I was going to say, is if Marvel's not careful and they continue their quantity over quality, if DC starts nailing it, and I mean starts nailing it,
well, starting with the Flash,
it's going to swap.
And speaking of this goes back to the Hogwarts thing. I think a lot of us have a problem with a certain Flash, not the character, the actor.
100%.
He's problematic, incredibly problematic. But I have a sinking suspicion this will be the only time he plays the Flash, because that situation is remedied very quickly in a Flash movie, especially with multiple dimensions.
Right.
That's very easily remedied. He's likable on screen. I will give you that. He looks great. The trailer is probably one of my favorite. It's a very well made comic book movie trailer. Like, it says what it's got to. It hits you right in the member berries. The entire thing of, I'm Batman. Like, dude, like, I freaking, like, Amelia was over here when I watched it, because everybody on the planet had seen it except for me, apparently. I was screaming. Because you know me, I'm Mr. Super Bowl. No, after the Super Bowl, I sat there and watched like 2 hours of Super Bowl commercials on YouTube. I didn't, But that trailer did what it needed to do. It said, this is the line in the sand. James Gunn's work was a little easier because the next couple of movies that were already in production that are coming out fit into apparently what he wanted, like Blue Beetle, Shazam, apparently, because it never really truly did connect with the DCEU, which always pissed me off, but now I'm glad, because I like Zachary Levi as Levy, whatever. I love his Shazam. Like, it's great. Like, I could see him part of the the future.
I can see him in the Superman world, yeah.
Because he is. He's got.
Yeah. But then you turn around and I watch the long gestating Black Adam movie and was like, okay, I like The Rock. He's likable. Like he can be a very likable actor. This movie's not that great. Like it just, I loved Pierce Brosnan. Like his version.
His Dr. Fate was fantastic.
Yeah, I wanted to see that movie.
Yeah.
Why didn't you give me that movie? Why are you changing up so much? He's a bad guy.
He's a bad guy that they turned into a non-villain.
It's because the Rock wouldn't play a bad guy, probably.
Yeah,
and
that's not true. He's played a bad guy twice.
Exactly. That's what you're saying twice. When you can, I mean, he's made a career out of not being the heel. Wrestling term there. That's the view that I know. But it wasn't a trash movie completely, and that end was great. Like that shock and Black Adam. Like, oh look, it's Henry Cavill. Which that's a whole subject matter into itself. Poor dude. That's okay. He's happy. He gets to go play in the Warhammer universe over on Amazon now.
Exactly.
But I do think you're right, Kyle. I think this is the one and only shot that DC has to possibly become the king if it does it right. The biggest issue isn't really James Gunn, isn't really anybody other than Discovery Warner. And I'm putting the Discovery in front of the Discovery Warner.
Yeah.
They are the biggest obstacle right now to the success of DCEU, I feel. Because right now, he's everything that I'm hearing about James Gunn, and I having done this for a very long time and known people in various forms of either comic book industry or movie industry or whatever, he is really... I can't ever remember the other producer's guy's name. They're pulling in some of the best talent in gaming, movies, television, everything to do this. Like he's friends. If you know anybody that's like does stuff in Hollywood, like he's friends with everybody. James Gunn is. So he's pulling in everything, and I bet he's pulling a lot of like, hey buddy, like I'm not pulling the like Snyder, like, he shits gold or anything like that. James Gunn's had a few interesting movies, but I know he has a passion for this, and what he's done so far has been pretty decent. And he definitely has an eye for what audiences want. So, yeah, this is their one shot. I think this is DC's one real shot. And I think Marvel's answer needs to be, okay, make things feel special again. Like, I think everybody kind of wants that feeling of Endgame, that special moment. We all went to see that together, didn't we?
I think so, yeah.
You know, that moment of like Avengers Assemble. Like, I think everybody like wants that moment, that high again. And it's going to be very hard to get there again. Like, even if we get into King and his true thing, and like Galactus coming in and, whoever, it's going to be hard to get to that moment because we have to care. It's sort of like Eternals. There's too many characters I didn't care about.
Right. And
I have to really get to know these characters, and you have to give me time, the ones that are coming. So hopefully like they start spending the budget and not making these poor VFX people sleep underneath their desks, because that's apparently what they were having to do to get this stuff done. So, yeah. So it's always, it's somebody who like, we've been around this industry quite a long time. It's usually somebody up top that just thinks that, doesn't know how the sausage is made, doesn't know how much it costs. And they're just like, well, just get it done. And the poor people working down in the trenches are literally go nuts. Yeah. And I've known people that have worked in gaming specifically in crunch time that are now on they're disabled because of mental health. Yeah. So because when you have something that's millions of dollars and they're down your throat, and they're not giving you the proper time to do something, and it's your livelihood, and you're at, poor person has to, they don't really get paid as much as you think they do, and their entire time, and been in this position myself, are scared to death that they're going to lose their dream job. And so you put somebody under enough that pressure for a long time, it breaks them, and that's not worth people's sanity for. It's just not. So, especially when they have to make a subpar MODOK with a stretch face. I mean, that's just
it's
sad.
the worst looking thing. I feel so bad.
I've seen the memes, and I'm just like, because people for a while there were like actually putting different faces in their do as well. So yeah, it's almost as it's starting to pop up to the point that it's almost the meme that went around for The Last of Us. It's almost to that level now. Like, I'm seeing it everywhere. So yeah. But anyway, so what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take a few break right quick. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about just a couple little things in the episode and let you know what's in store for the future of the Fathergamer Podcast. Yeah, my dog just barked. Okay, so we're back. I just wanted to throw out a few things I forgot to mention and I would like to talk about in future episodes. The first is the fantastic movie. It looks like it's going to be hitting somewhere between around February 15th, which I don't know why they wouldn't just release it on Valentine's. February 15th, 2025. Feige is basically promising something unexpected. So I'm guessing they're going to bring the original cast from the Roger Corman movie back. That's the terrible one, by the way. I was joking. The original, one that was unreleased. Which, by the way, I have decided we are going to do a review of for one of our Patreon.
Yes.
So we're going to have to figure a way to all of us watch that together and do a review. We might even do it on a commentary. That might be fun. So
I am going to lick her up.
Yeah, did you watch that with me yet, Kyle? I thought we did.
Probably not.
Okay, I think we did. I think you were drunk. It is
very possible too.
It's a terrible movie, but it's not even. It's almost not even at the level of it's so bad it's good. It's just a terrible movie. But we will watch it, and that might be fun. Maybe that's something we could do. Let us know if that sounds like something you would be willing to, well, I guess, pay for. And then also, I wanted to talk on the next episode about Destiny, specifically Destiny 2 and the end of Destiny. I know Kyle plays it some. I don't know if you still play it all the time, but the current advertising is pushing it and touting it as the beginning of the end.
Yeah, the beginning of the end.
Yeah.
So I would love to talk about that because I haven't touched Destiny in 2 years, and I'm probably not going to, but I would like to talk about it because it is something that I did play probably hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours and would at least like to know what the hell's going on. Last but not least, I want to talk about Avatar, the Avatar series, not the Airbender, the blue guys with the tails that like to, whatever. I have not seen Avatar 2 yet. Might remedy that, but I think it's popping up soon on Disney.
It's good.
I think it's 45 days.
It should be 45 days minimum, yeah.
Yeah. I am kind of sad I didn't get to go see it in IMAX, but when you have a house that has been flooding left and right and all this stuff.
You were living...
I was living in water or whatever the hell that is.
You were trying to learn the ways.
The way of water here. I wish I had the airbender, the water bending thing too for the other Avatar. I also wanted to talk a little bit about James Cameron himself, focus in on a couple of the movies that he's done and the fact that the man has definitely made the deal with the devil. Because there's too many times that movies that he's made, people have gone, well, that's going to do anything. And it's like, dude, Avatar 2 is the third highest grossing movie of all time now. Mm-hmm. I would not have thought that. Like, I thought it would do well, but I would not think third.
Well, yeah, because the guy made like a 15-hour movie where you'd have to go to the bathroom at least 6 times, so you gotta watch it a second time just to know where you missed.
I read an interview with him where because he said he was almost like he was holding the sequels to Avatar 2, like 2, 3, and 4. Like he was holding him hostage, like, well, if it doesn't make $500 million, then I'm just not gonna release 3 and 4. I'm like, didn't you already film it? Like, what the hell? What are you, Warner? Are you going to just not release things?
Release the Zack Snyder cut of Avatar.
Yeah, exactly. He releases the Zack Snyder cut of Avatar 3. But I would like to, every episode, because we're going to be doing some, not slight, it's going to be some pretty interesting differences moving forward. We definitely I have a vision of how I want it to be, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and we're going to be able to talk about a lot more stuff, because anyone who knows me, I am fascinated about everything. So I know we can't talk about everything because, God, I would sit here D&D minifigs for first if we could. But moving forward, I also want to hear from everyone listening. I need that communication. My ego needs you, and we need you too, so that we know what we're talking about is stuff that you want to listen to. So let us know. Let myself know on Twitter. The real Eric. It's real Eric Gibbs, right?
Real Eric Gibbs, yes.
Oh, yeah, right, yeah. On Twitter, or at Silverhawks on Twitter. No vowels, because he's poor. And then at Meatball Sub, or whatever it is.
That's a good one too.
What is yours? I always forget it.
What?
Waffle Daddy 25.
Waffle Daddy 25. Yeah. Well, you had a different one. Metal X. What?
Metal X.
Yeah, Metal X was my. Yeah, Metal X is my Twitter. Yeah. Waffle Daddy.
I don't know where I got Meatball Sub. Metal X.
But you find creative new ones every time that I actually thoroughly like.
We should just, every time I say it before we release the episode, just go ahead and get it, and that way we can auction it off on our thing. So speaking of, we were talking about Patreon. We will be having a Patreon finally. My oldest daughter is in college right now, and we got an intern. She's our official intern. And she's helping us set up some of the stuff that we've been meaning to set up. I mean, for God's sakes, we're in the top 10 freaking fandom podcasts in the world, and we have not done anything to. We have not asked a dime from anybody. And you know what? If you want to listen to us for free, that's awesome. I mean, yeah, I'll take it.
It's need to rub his nipples.
Yeah, but that's an extra $5 on Patreon.
No, the extra $5 is the lube so that you don't shave.
Yeah, well, that's I just used beard oil.
That works.
It's and you smell like sandalwood.
Yeah.
But we're going to be doing
like Santa.
We have about actually I have. This is the end of the show, so the tangents happen because we're tired. But I actually have a big giant bar of freaking soap in my shower right now that smells like pine trees. Mm-hmm. It was a Christmas soap, so I'll be walking around and be like, where the hell are those pine trees? I can smell them. Really, I was like, oh, it's
like cocaine.
Yeah, well, I need that myself right now. But we're going to be doing, like I said, we're doing a Patreon. We're going to have a ton of special shows that we'll announce later. That will be part of the Patreon. But we want to hear what you would like to see, what you would like to hear, that kind of stuff. So again, leave us on Twitter, Instagram at Fathergamer, at Silverhawks, and at Undersea Meatball Sub. No, Waffle Daddy. Are you Waffle Daddy on Instagram?
You know what? Let's find out.
Wow, he probably is Underwater Meatball Sub.
So.
No, I don't think so either. I'm on it occasionally.
You should be Underwater BB Stacker on Instagram. That's what you should be. But the thing is, we have been doing this. We're hitting the 12th year of podcasting. Actually, a little bit long because of start and stops and all that kind of stuff. And we're going to be moving into a slightly more creative phase too of stuff coming up. And we would really like to take you guys along with us and be.
Mike's going to get an OnlyFans.
Well, I was going to suggest that, but I mean.
Well, you said creative, and that's what Mike's.
It's pretty creative.
He's been dreaming.
It's not as creative as if you go back to, I think, episode 20 something, where we were talking about the Fathergamer dildos. That was a whole different subject there. You know what? That makes me. We're going to have to go find that clip and put it. Maybe not in this episode, but just that little area where you were like, what are you talking about, Mike? you are a changed man.
That's right.
You understand way more humor now than you did then. It's almost amazingly comical to go back and listen to older episodes.
Yeah.
This is GLaDOS. Stay tuned to the end of the episode for the Mike Dildo clip.
By the way,
yes.
I was going to say that's such a great time. Mike was right. I totally forgot my Twitter handle was WaffleDaddy25. Good job, Mike. You remember it better than Under Meatball Subs or whatever I become.
Yeah, well, you know what? My job is to be talented and sexy. That's all I got to do. You guys remember
And
that
I
crap.
think your Insta is like K the car.
Yeah,
No,
it is. It's Kyle.
No, my Insta is different. But my Insta's KJ Skywalker.
There we go.
Okay. So you know what we're going to do too? We're going to work on Kyle's social presence a little bit and at least make it work. Or you know what we might do? We might have. You know what? If you donate $5 a month, we'll put a camera in Kyle's bathroom and just let you watch him after he's eaten the meatball subs. But anyway,
I don't even eat that many meatballs.
Yeah, he does. But anyway, we really thank you for listening. Somehow through everything, you have stuck with us for 100 episodes of this version of the show. A lot of people have, and I get the numbers and I freak the hell out and I don't understand. And then I realize we've been around for 12 years. Like, we've been around, we don't really lose people. And even when we jumped the services, we kept people. Like, it was great. Like, it's been fantastic. And, you know, I have been able to do a lot of things because of the show. I originally started the show, to be honest, I was pissed because my job had ended and I had nothing to do, and I was working at GameStop and I freaking hated that place. And I was stuck in Florida and I wanted free games and go to E3. And that's really all it started out. And then it became something absolutely, truly, beautifully amazing. I met probably my best friends for my entire life. I'm talking to y'all right now. I got to meet some of the most creative people that have ever walked this planet. Like, you know, Stan Lee and people like that, and actually have real conversations, not just, you know, recorded ones, but just to sit down and talk to them. I got on movie sets. I got to do, got to Shigeru Miyamoto several times. Some of the greatest stories. So some of these stories that I have really never told, starting next episode, we will have a little bit of a story time in every episode to talk about the weird ass Forrest Gumpian type crap that I've walked into in life, and been very happy that I've been able to do that. And also, again, thank you. Thank you very much. And we will be back in a few weeks with a not more improved, but a definitely somewhat different version of the show. But I think you guys will love it. So thank you, Mike. Thank you so much for everything you've done in these last 100 episodes with you. Maybe 80.
Since around episode 40-ish.
But then you count all the like side shows and stuff. You've got to be hitting close to your 100 yourself.
Probably.
Kyle, you've been pretty close to that as well. Like you and me recording during was like around Black Friday in your car with spiders crawling down, by the way.
Just one of them.
Do you remember that? Do you remember?
Yeah, I do. We were going to become Spider-Man.
Yeah, I didn't. I just got a nasty infection. But it
Spider-Man.
It had nothing to do with being bit. It was just, anyway. But that, you guys have done a lot to put up with a lot of my bullshit, and I am incredibly grateful, and I'm very thankful for you two to have been there and to believe in this about 60% as much as I do.
I believe in the heart of the cards here.
Right?
But I do absolutely love you too. You guys are brothers to me, and you will forever be. You will forever be my family. So
We want to be the very best, like
God,
no
we just
one
we
ever
can't afford that. We can't
was.
afford it, Mike. We can't afford it.
We need Mike to make money in that OnlyFans. Though.
Yeah,
Jeez.
we absolutely do. Now, we have some definitely interesting things coming up as well. We have conventions are back. I am going to brave into some conventions. AggieCon, which is something we've covered a few times, is coming back. Well, I think it was here last year, right? But
I think so, yeah.
It's back, and I'm going to be there. I don't know if Kyle's going to go. I know Mike isn't, but I know Kyle. If you want to go, we can go. I mean, I'm not pay or anything, but I'll go. There's a couple people there that I'd really love to interview, and it'd be really cool. Like, I haven't been to a convention in 3 years. Like, just to stand there in a corner with a big mask on and a hazmat suit, I would be totally cool with that.
Mm-hmm.
But I just, it's, we also have E3 coming up, and I think I might be going. I don't know yet because they're going with a different service than they used to about getting people in. So I don't know. So I know we have people that listen that are part of that. So you're going to have that would be nice. And I'm planning on doing a few other conventions this year. So that's crazy. They're back. Anyway. Thank you guys for recording. Thank you for letting me rant for the last few minutes. And love you guys and everyone listening. Thank you for listening to the Fathergamer Podcast. You can check us out, older episodes, on pretty much everywhere podcasts can be listened to. Share it with your friends. Share it with your family. And, of course, can you stop, Bob? And, of course, achieve greatness and go out there and do something nice. Be kind. It is a really effed up world out there right now, and we've all gone through the ring. So just go out there, be nice, do something awesome, and I love you too.
Love you too.
Not you, Mike. Damn. Thank you for listening.
Spider-Man.
Okay.
Are you still there? Here is Mike Dildo.
Granted, I don't know if any of you guys have ever done 3D printing. It is a very slow process.
Right.
But, I don't really have an idea of the scale. Like, are we talking 1-to-1? Are we talking...
Depends on the printer.
Well, that's true.
So...
But...
the file's going to be the same size no matter what, but then you can scale it down or maximize it to its fullest.
And I'm not going to say exactly where this was, but I will say I have had access to a very large 3D printer, and I did see lots of penises getting printed.
Thank God.
So that was a very slow, tedious process to watch from my...
Why don't they advertise it straight up?
If you've ever listened to any of the previous podcasts, you will know where he was from.
That's how we're going to make some more money later on.
Oh, the TFGP dildo collection.
Yeah.
This is going to be the giant black one. We'll have it modeled after each of us.
Yeah.
Katie's will be the largest.
No. Wait, how many dildos have balls?
It's just our body.
I don't know. I guess there's some... you have...
Yeah, you're trying to watch what you're saying. So, okay, we're going to go ahead and go into WTF right quick.
Why don't you video retape these?
I know. We're going to start...
That was the greatest mental image I've ever seen.
What was it?
Mike being a human dildo.
Yeah,
tickler and everything.
He said it would look just like us. I was like, yeah, it would be just our bodies.
It's not what he meant.
And then I was like...
I like his idea way better. A phallic-shaped me. I would send
I'm just going to say the ladies will like me a little bit more. I'm just saying.
Wish you were here.
Oh, I'm saying...
No, stop! I have to ride home with you.
Well, that's it. Goodbye.